Right, everything should be working, seems to be working anyway. Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, and Xenos ladies, to another Tactica Imperialis live stream. Already got one thing about what's going on. I've not actually read the article yet, please don't spoil me. So we've got a lot going on in the news since Tuesday? Monday? Since whatever day it was we streamed last. There's been a lot going on for AoS 2 and for 40k a little bit as well, which is all good and fun to talk about. So we're going to do that, and I also get to finish off my probably last Stormcast model for AoS 2. I'll be finishing off the second Tempestor, because I finished the first one off camera, and I get to finish off this one tonight, which is going to be great. And then my shelf will be actually full. My shelf will actually be full of Stormcast unless I rearrange it and take some stuff off. But I could do that. I suppose I could do that. Anyway, everything seems to be working as intended. Nothing wrong on my end. Yeah, I'll just let people get in, and then we can probably get started. Hello. Yeah, it has been one heck of a week for all things hobby, between magic and summoning and all the other stuff around that. We got plenty of faction focuses, which gives some little interesting insights. I think magic is probably the biggest news that we've had since Tuesday. I think magic has probably been the biggest change. I'll just double check to go down the Warhammer community feed and make sure there's not something super very obvious that I'm checking. That's the spells. Summoning. She needs to catch myself up on where we're up to. Magic. Yeah, that's everything then. Yeah, so mainly it's just been all the magical stuff the last few days primarily, which is all good. Get to check all of that out because that is all very, very good fun. To be fair, I should probably open with the Imperial Knights thing, because like that article only came out about an hour ago, less even. So probably a good place to start is with that. So I might do that. Yeah, I might do that. Get the article loaded up and we can go through it, and I'll have a look at it for the first time for myself. So you open, then go over to you, then to you. There we go. Took me a second to get everything in the right place there. Boom. Yeah, we'll get on to the endless spells, I think. But I want to start with the Knights first and foremost. Go through that, have a bit of a joint reaction, and then we can discuss all the AoS stuff and get on to the hobby. So, what have we got? Let's just slide you over here. Okay, so the wait is almost over. The Imperium's mightiest war machines are ready to walk. Wait, there's Titans in here? Hey, James. They're not the Imperium's mightiest war machines, they're the Titans, just, although they're technically the Mechanicus's, rather than the Imperium's directly. Tetchy detail, minor detail. There's nothing quite like an Imperial Knight. One part noble scion from the darkest reaches of mankind's empire, one part giant freaking robot. These titanic warriors encapsulate much of what makes Warhammer 40k so iconic. When the first Knights came out 3 years ago, they immediately became a favourite and redefined the scale of warfare. Ish, yep, fair. Since then, we've seen all manner of combatants, large and small, join the battle for the 41st millennium, including Xenos Knight equivalents, a pair of Demon Primarchs. But now the time has come for the Knights to once again rise to supremacy. Yay, more powerful Imperial stuff. As well as the Knights getting a brand new codex, they also get a veritable household of new Knight patterns to bolster their already considerable strength. First and foremost are these new additions are the Dominus. I nearly read Domino there, but yeah, Dominus makes sense. Dominus class Knights. These magnificent engines of war are amongst the biggest plastic kits we've ever made. Each is a walking fortress bristling with all manner of deadly ordnance. I didn't realize ordnance had an I in it, I thought it was ordnance. Okay, fine. Probably a greater force to the rest. Maybe if you could put all the knights together against all the titans, they might win. But, oh, it's tetchy. It's really tetchy. Really tetchy. Anyway, where was I? If you're looking for a Lord of War for your Imperial army, this is it. Devastate enemies at close range with the Knight Valiant, or at a distance with the Knight Castellan. So these are the baby warlords then. Okay, so baby warlord in red. Okay, chat, sorry, bye. So baby warlord in red, armed with probably a massive... Is that melter or flamer? It's awkward from this angle to tell if that's a melter or a flamer. I'm going with flamer, judging by the tank that's underneath it. And then what looks like a whack-ass harpoon gun. I mean, I'm down with it being a massive pneumatic drill. A massive pneumatic drill in place of the Reaper Chainblade works just fine. But I'd like the idea of some sort of harpoon gun that the knight just like goes, just channels Scorpion from Mortal Kombat. Just like, get over here, yank, flamer to the face. That would be quite... Yeah, I quite approve of the Scorpion imagery if that's a harpoon gun. Though if it's not a harpoon gun and it is a pneumatic drill, I'm just as down. And the other one is the Knight Castellan, which is Baby Warlord in blue. And that's armed with the biggest plasma gun I've ever freaking seen. And then a massive autocannon? I'm not an expert on like slightly archaeotechy Imperial weapons, but it looks like a whack-off autocannon or a rocket launcher of some kind, although it might be a las weapon judging by all those lights running down the side. And the weapons on its sort of what would you call those? The inside of its shoulders, just outside of its head. They look more like melters because they're slightly the wrong shape for flamers. And then we've got even more guns up top you can't quite see at this angle, but you can see up at the top you've got rocket batteries or like sentry guns. Like, that is a flip ton of guns. That is a flip ton of guns. Triple flamer is so cool. Flamer. Doesn't seem to be a combat loadout for these guys. I'm sure it's a harpoon gun. Looks turbo laser. It could be a turbo laser. It could be a turbo laser or a laser destroyer. Yeah, a laser gun seems likely. Just because of all the lights running down the side, it looks a bit too high-tech for a rocket launcher or an autocannon. So yeah, maybe some whack-off laser gun. Yeah, I'm willing to agree with whack-off laser gun. If you're looking for something a little, but only a little more subtle, you have the Armiger Helverins. Fast-moving, long-range fire support, with placing any knight in the house or just an Imperial army that needs more guns. Like the Warglaives, you get 3 per slot, making them ideal for rounding out a larger detachment. Okay, so it looks like they're not doing anything involving fancy force with these guys. They're just Lords of War for days, apart from maybe Hector, who we'll get to. So, okay, that just looks like a variant on the Armiger Warglaive. So they swap out the chain sword thing for another gun. What sort of gun would that be then? Now that looks more autocannon-y to me. That looks a lot more autocannon-y to me. With the big drum barrel underneath the arm at the elbow. Just, it feels like a conventional ballistics weapon as opposed to anything else. Boop. Boop. Can't wait to put these guys up. They'll team up with my paladin. Yeah, if you've got a knight army already, this is just a really good thing for you. You'll get some small, like short, some decent smaller fire support or melee support from the Armiger Warglaives, and you've got the 2 knights Dominus, the Valiant and the Castellan, to go and kick all the arse in the world from either right up in your face or a bajillion miles away. Stubber autocannon, very autocannon. Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. Is there anything else? Codex. The personalities of each household and age knight are as diverse as the chapters of the Astartes or regiments of the guard, and you'll get 9 household traditions. 9. Flipping 9? 9 is a lot. 9 is a lot. Like, that's more than the Space Marines or the Guard got. Like, the Space Marines got what? Ultramarines, Imperial Fists, Black Templars, Salamanders, White Scars, Raven Guard, and I feel like I'm missing one. But then I might not. The Chaos got like Iron Warriors, Night Lords. Actually, to be fair, Chaos got that many. Chaos got like 9 because it got all like the Traitor Legions. Well, minus the 2 Traitor Legions, so of Thousands and Death Guards, hit them out. So 7 plus 1. Yeah, Chaos got about 8. But 9 I think might actually be a new record. That's a lot of traits. So that's going to make Knights, because Knights probably, this is basically going to give Knights options. And I think that's the main thing that's going to give the Knights is options. Because before, Knights only had so many builds and can therefore only play so many ways. Now they can mix it up a lot more. They can play with different traits, they can play with different builds for their big Knights, mini Knights, and all of the other things. So I think they're going to get a lot more. It's definitely more than all the Xenos factions. It's more Craft World, more. I think it's a similar number to the Drakari Obsessions. If you combine, there were 3 Witch Cult, like 3 or 4 Cabals and 3 or 4 Covens. There was a lot for the Drakari. So it might be less than Drakari if you combine all their factions together. But because the Drakari are comprised of little sub-factions, I'm not sure if that counts as a fair piece of calculus. It's still a lot. Do we get any rules previews here? Even ways of making your own background that will affect the rules. That's a way of saying it. If you prefer to go your own way, you're in luck. The book also features tables for generating your very own free blades, complete with epic, tragic backstories. Build your own from the traits you like, or throw caution to the wind and roll for them. You could, example, end up with a free blade who fires with unerring accuracy, but also occasionally falls into murderous rage where he's forced to charge. Oh my god, that's so fun and I love it. I love that. Like, that could be really unbalanced. And that's, you know what? Fair play, GW. I would think that would be restricted to open play. Now, considering Build Your Own Land Trader was restricted to open play, I thought they might have restricted Build Your Own Freeblade to open play, now that I know Build Your Own Freeblade is a thing. I'd have thought they might have restricted that to open play, but if they're going to put that in a match play, that is so fun. I take my hat off to you, if I had one. Yeah, yeah, I approve. Fancy Limited Edition, ass load of stratagems, battle gauge, Oh, even more news! So Imperial Knights Renegade is coming back. So for those who missed it the first time, it's a box game that pits 2 knights against one another. Correct. As well as being a game in its own right, it costs much less than buying 2 knights on their own and features some scenery, and they've swapped out the old stuff for the new stuff. The old Sector Imperialis is now a Galvanic Magnavent. And you'll be able to use them as Renegade Knights if you play Chaos. Okay, that's really good. Finally, the Imperial Knights got some scenery of their own. The Sacristan Forge Shrine is a battlefield repair and reload station that you can take in your army. Oh my god, the Knights might actually be one of the most fun armies to play. I'm not saying they're going to be the best army to play, but they could be one of the most fun and thematic armies to play in the entire game. Because you get to bring a household of knights with a portable reloading station. You can also customize your own knights as free blades. You've got mini knights, middle knights, slightly bigger knights, baby warlords. This is so much fun. I mean, I'm not going to buy it because it's like way too expensive. I'm not buying a Knights army. But if you play Knights or own a Knight, you should really pick this book up. This would be so much fun. I really approve of this. Like, even if you just run a single Knight as an ally to your army, well, just run it as a customizable free blade, pick the best 2 traits that fit your army, and roll with it. Genuinely, that's awesome. Well played, GW. I tip my hat to you, if I had one. Well damn played. That's awesome. Okay, that is really, really cool. Like, the problem with 8th edition is it kind of, parts of the army releases in 8th edition got a little bit stale. They all felt the same, just with a teensy bit of flavour. So like, the Tau traits and the Necron traits and the Eldari traits and the Space Marine traits were all just shuffled up versions of one another. They generally didn't do much that was unique. They had the odd unique trait, don't get me wrong, like the phase through stuff Necron trait, but they didn't have loads of uniqueness to them that just made them that made them really stand out from the crowd as a fun faction to play thematically. I mean, you could still do it, but it wasn't as good, and you did notice it if you read every book and read every trait and every preview. You just be like, oh, they've just shuffled these around and they all kind of work the same way but slightly differently. Yawn. Whereas this gives you actual true customization for an army. We'll have to see what the household traits look like and how they'll behave, because obviously you've now got an army of entirely super heavy vehicles. If the armatures are super heavy, I'm not sure if they are. But yeah, they feel like they're going to be one of the most unique factions to play. Not just in terms of the model count and the playstyle that comes with them, but in terms of the actual rules they've got, they're going to be some of the most unique and customizable, and I'm on board with that. Necron traits are mostly unique. Yeah, maybe. Actually, you might have a point on that one. The Necrons and the Drakari were pretty good for versatility and uniqueness, but many of them, particularly early on, were just rebrands of each other. It was like, oh. Like, you go through Marines, Guard, Chaos Marines, they were just rebrands of each other, which is kind of garbage. I just thought Necron Knights was the most fluffy and unique. I never got a chance to read it, and our resident Necron player is not here at the moment to check it. But, yeah, maybe the Necrons were, but the Imperial Knights, preview that we got about an hour or so ago, I've just had a read through that, and it looks like the Knight's going to be really, really fun. So I'm very much on board. Not obviously going to be buying into it, because one, I don't play an Imperial army, so I wouldn't have a reason to get a Knight. Two, I don't want a Knight army either, because it's way, way too expensive. I have too many AoS projects I want to do right now. But I very much approve of what they've done with the Knights. I'm down. Because how many units are they going to have now? Like 10? We've got the 2 Mega Knight, the 2 Baby Warlords, the 2 Baby Knight units, the Warglaves and the other ones. Then they've got the Warden, the Paladin. Yeah, there's plenty of things they can do. It's not going to be the most customizable army in the game because they've only got so many unit types, but they've done a really good job of making them versatile with what they have. Very, very much approved. Very, very much approved. Sorry, still got physics work to do. Still wanting a flesh tower super heavy. Ha ha ha. No. No. No, 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 no. 1, most disturbing model ever. 2, just like there's only 1 tower of flesh. There's only 1 of it. Yeah. Armature. Helliver, Valiant, the other Warlord, which is the Castellan, Warden, Paladin, Crusader, Errant, the melee one. That's 9. Plus the Forge World variants, which I don't think we can count because they won't get put in the main codex. So yeah, 9 plus Forge World? I mean, that's Custodes level. That's obviously even better than Custodes. So, I mean, how many have the Harlequins got? Troop, Troop Master, Solitaire, Death Jester, Shadow Seer. 1, 2, 3 different flying. Star Weaver, Void Weaver, Sky Weaver. I'm struggling now. I can't think of any more Harlequin units. The Hellpit Abomination exists, yes, but how do you translate a giant walking unique building that, yeah, I don't know, I just wouldn't think it would work. G-Still cults as well. Well, let's do a converted army of Knight Sisters all covered in ecclesiarchal markers and shrines. Oh yeah, I like that. So you swap out like the Mechanicus sigils for various ecclesiarchal stuff. You've probably got them maybe in place of the back like sentry gun. You put like the Garden of Moor grave shrine thingy-majib. You could just plonk that there on the back. So you've got a little shrine on the back. Maybe you have it like with I don't know quite how you do. You'd have to have the Flamer variant, obviously. Yeah, okay, you could do something with that. You could do something with that. G-Still cards. Oh, the Webway Gate. Yeah, the Webway Gate, that counts. I mean, I didn't count the refueling station, so I'm not sure if how much terrain counts. Like, I didn't count the refueling station. I don't count the drone port and stuff like that. But I suppose you could count the Webway Gate as well. That is true. That is very, very true. Working, yep, seems fine. So yeah, if there's any other remarks on the Knights or any other piece of news you want to discuss, go ahead. If not, I'll jump over and we'll do some AoS 2. Because obviously AoS 2 is kind of the biggest thing going on in the news right now and all the stuff that's going on with it. Might Detto down my Knights who was a free blade and go all in a household. Yeah, maybe. Troop Masters, Shadow Seer, Death Jester, Solitaire, 3 Weavers, yeah. Why did they randomly drop Mega Dreads? I have no idea. I didn't even notice. Truth be told, I didn't even notice. First, Course Fashion Focus, that comes under AoS 2. I think the main thing with AoS 2 I want to do is get the discussion about the rule changes more than I want to do the faction focuses, unless the faction focuses also contain rule changes that are pertinent to the discussion. So, yeah. We might look at the Flesh Eater Courts, but generally there's nothing new in their article that isn't just about Flesh Eater Courts players. So they've benefited off of summoning and they've benefited off of command points, but the core changes of command points and summoning are the things that are more up for discussion. Francais is the name of the language. France is still, they still call it France, or France officially. And the reason I'm still here is because I may or may not have resits to do. I haven't got my exam results back yet. Short answer. Did my exams a week ago. Finished them off last Friday. But I haven't got the results yet. And until I've got the results and know whether I passed everything, I can't leave. And I need to get some documentation in place before I leave. So I can't leave either. And also some of my funding depends on when I leave. So I need to stay to make sure that I'm on track to get my funding correctly. And I can't get my documents signed to leave until I'm near at that date, ergo I can't leave. But mainly it's because of resets, otherwise I would just say screw it and leave. Actually, even if I got my results I wouldn't be allowed to say screw it and leave, although I might do a lot more travelling. If like I didn't have to wait for results and they weren't coming out to like August or something, I might have just said screw it, gone travelling, seen Annecy, seen Paris, gone to Lyon, etc, etc, etc. What's to about a Mega Dread covered in flame is cool. Huge smoke pipe cool. Look like a pipe you would actually smoke. And fill the tank with water and black food colour. Interesting. Interesting. Technically cool. Yeah, if you want to be super old school historical, fine. No. The amount of exams I sat in English was a grand total of 2 out of 8. One of the courses was mandatory English, although you could get any help translating into French at any time from the professor. And one paper, he gave you an option of which paper you wanted, but you were, I think, supposed to still answer in French, so I did. The other 6 exams were French taught, French examined, French written, entirely French. So, no is the answer to the most part. Hector. Yeah, let's do Hector. While we're on the Knights, let's do Hector. Good call. Good call. So, hello. So, hop. So this was actually released on Friday, and this was the first indication that the Knights were coming out next week, because that's next week's pre-orders? Or are they next week's releases? Oh, sorry, now I didn't even check. Anyway, the Knights are the next big release. Whatever the case, the Knights are the next big release. And this was the first indication we got of that in the form of Sir Hector, who was actually in the Regimental Standard the day before. And some very, very wise people in the Discord thought, oh, is this going to be an Imperial Knights named character? And I wrote them off, and I was like, I don't think so. But, yeah, it's actually going to be a Knights named character. So I'll just scroll down 18, see bet. Behold Canis Rex, piloted by Sir Hector, with a U, not an O. How's it spelled? Hector. Yeah, what a... Whoops. What an interesting pronunciation your name has. Oh, bloody hell. Stop highlighting things. Yeah, it's pre-order next week. Alright, yeah, thank you. So yeah, Sir Hector, the Chainbreaker, is a hero known across the million-ish worlds of the Imperium, takes great satisfaction in liberating the oppressed from under the heel of brutal Xenos and traitor overlords who quest the domain of a byword for Imperial liberation across the galaxy. And it's in the Regimental Standard, which is mentioned here. And he's a very interesting character because he is actually unique in that he can get out. He doesn't die when the Knight dies. So normally what happens when an Imperial Knight dies is the Knight pilot dies. The Knight, I don't know if the Knight goes boom, it probably certainly can. If it doesn't guaranteed go boom, it can go boom, and the pilot dies with it. However, Hector, a la Knight Sergeant Cronus, has the ability to leap clear, though we don't know if it's a roll for it to see if he survives or if he gets damaged or whether he just gets out for free. And then he can fight on with an Archaeotech pistol. We saw his model a little bit higher up. It reminds me of the bloke from Battle for Macragge, just updated and more dynamic. Which is pretty cool, I have to say. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Knights get a special character model before the Harlequins. I know. I know. Like Silandri Veilwalker. Would have been easy. So he's a Freeblade champion. And yeah, the rest of the Imperial Knights we saw today. So yes, that is Hector. I'll just pop this image out a little bit so you can have a bit of a closer look. Although you're kind of hidden behind the chat, so bye chat. Pull it up here so I can see it. Yeah, it's a really, really nice model, and it's interesting because I am not sure what that weapon is. I've asked people and they've referenced me to one of the old Mechanicum Knights, which had a weapon that looked rather similar, but we're not 100%. It's probably that weapon, just maybe slightly tweaked or souped up, because in the other edition, in the old Knight, on the Mechanicum Knight, it works as a strength 12 gun and a strength 14 melee weapon. It's kind of like the fusion blades of the Tau cranked up to 11. So it's a really nice weapon. I like the weapon, but the fact he's already got a melee weapon makes me think, well, is it a melee weapon? Because why would you have a... I've never seen a knight go around with 2 usable melee weapons. I've normally seen them with 1 gun and a chain fist, or 2 guns. I've never seen them go around with 2 melee weapons, although one of those melee weapons doubles as a gun. That's not something I've seen before. So I'm not sure. It might just be the souped up fusion blade of the old version, but it could be something different. Unsure. Anyway, that is Hector. So chat, you can go back on the stream and we'll jump back up. Boom. So yeah, the Knight Codex is going to be very, very interesting with named characters, bunch of customization and all sorts of things. Some leaks said it's a pulse laser. Well, if it's a leak, I don't 100% trust it, even if it is probably correct. Who knows? So yeah, Knights look great, I've got to say. Really, really good to see that a faction who honestly could be seen as one of the most boring factions, even if they've got a cool idea behind them of giant freaking Doom bots, they've actually made them unique and interesting and customizable, which is very cool. Still thinking it's the Las Cutter. And at least 2 of each group similar to Space Marines, having a couple per chapter. Two each type of knight, you mean, in a household? Is that what you mean? Like a couple of different of each type of knight per household in your army? Is that sort of what you're getting at with that? Yes, I think that's what you're getting at, but I'm not sure. Space Marines having a couple per chapter. I have a couple of dreadnoughts, but that's like per company nearly. I have a bunch of dreadnoughts, so they're not always like 1 or 2 per company. It's not quite that. Not quite sure what else that could be in reference to. So let me know once the thing stops being delayed. The Tau are none of those things. They are that because the community says so. So, don't ask me. Oh, named characters for like for Drakari. Okay, could be that. Yeah. Could actually be like 2 per thing. So like you have Vectin Malice, you have Lilith and somebody, you have Rakath and somebody. As it is, you have Lilith, Rakath, and Drazhar, which is kind of crap because you don't have a named Archon. Rip. Oh, why am I yawning? What is it? I don't know why I felt oddly tired earlier. It's weird. Yeah, I don't know why I felt tired today. But hey, be back later. Alright, I'm not sure quite what we'll be up to when you get back, but see you in a bit. General loss of unique characters for Drakari. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, I got there in the end. That makes sense. Sometimes it is hard. Sometimes I can keep track of what the chat's saying, but it's not always easy for me to know what's in reference to me, what's in reference to another person's conversation. I mean, the app feature helps, but it's not perfect. Hello. So yeah, I think that's your main 40k news. Let me check there's nothing else major for 40k while I'm here. No. No. Nope, nothing else really for 40k that I can see. Oh, Karajuak would be cool. I do like Karajuak. Karajuak's pretty cool. Sliskus is cool. Sathanix is cool. The Drakari had some really awesome characters back in their 5th edition codex. It's a shame they got all taken out. To be fair, it is pretty damn warm. I mean, there's been 2 thunderstorms today. One of them was exceptionally loud and full of lightning. But there has actually been 2 either separate or successive thunderstorms today. One of which was particularly overhead and heavy. And it is quite muggy. To be fair, it is very muggy at the minute. There's not loads of wind and it's just humid. It's not particularly pleasant. But hey, I suppose that's what happens when you get stuck in a 9 by, well, not even a 9 by, probably a 8 by 20? No, not 20. Maybe 8 by 17. Yeah, when you get stuck in a box with no aircon, it is a bit awkward, and especially if it's warm outside, you can't just open the window, and you don't have a window setting which is just leave it slightly ajar. It's either got to be just left to swing to its own devices, which can mean it closes, or it just has to stay shut, which when you're in the middle of a thunderstorm means it has to stay shut. So it has been really, last few weeks it has been stupidly warm. A lot stupidly warm on a regular basis. But hey, that's the way it is. Can't do anything about it. I suppose it means you get an appreciation for cold showers, but hey, details. Anyway, if there's nothing else up for discussion, I'm pretty much ready to dive into AoS 2. Because I want to do the AoS 2 stuff before I dive into painting, because otherwise I'll start painting and that'll take the rest of the stream. Even though I've only got like washes and highlights, one dry brush, wash, highlight to do, that'll probably still take the rest of the stream for me to get done between one thing and another. So yeah, just keep you posted really. Actually, I might go and get a drink whilst we sort of wait for the chat to say something. Everything seems to be running. Finally started gluing stuff on. Excellent. I'm glad to hear it. I know you've been working on that model for just from streams. I know you've been working on that model for absolutely ages. Orcs don't have loads of special characters. Well, they do. Relative to some, they do. So like, they've got Gazkul, Grotsnik, Zagstruck, Badruk, and Snickrot. Am I missing anyone? There's no named Weird Boy. There's no named Big Mech in the Codex. There's like Snagrod or whatever his name. Not Snagrod. Buzzgob or something for Forge World. And there's a Forge World War Boss as well. Is there anyone else? I'm thinking there's 5, although 3 of them... they used to be unit upgrades. I think they got reworked. Yes, still in France. Well, to be fair, has the backdrop changed? No, therefore still in France. Thank you, Rowan. Is the internet gone to crap? I don't think so. No, internet's fine. Dear me. Well, let's be fair, everyone's just going to go quiet as they jump into the Discord if they're not already there. Assembly, painting, planning the base, so far about 35 hours. Bloody hell. I mean, I don't know how long I spent on Magnus, but like I had it done in 10 days. And I don't think I spent 3 in 2 weeks-ish. I don't think I spent 2.5 hours per session on him. Jeez, 35 hours, that's a lot. Funny. Fire Slayers. Yeah, Fire Slayers are interesting. More... Oh god, more confusion. Jason Buenos Aires... No, I'm not... No, you don't roll your R's in Spanish. Well, you do, but you don't roll on that R. Buenos Aires. Did I miss something important? Depends on what you define as important, really. We've done a discussion of the new Imperial Knights preview. So we got a proper look at the baby warlords, the new variants on the baby knights, the armigers. We got a look at Sir Hector, the knight household traits, although we didn't get to see any, and the confirmation of customizable free blades and their battlefield reloading and refueling station, which was very, very interesting and honestly one of the best releases I think we've ever seen for 8th edition. It's a really, really good release. I'm really on board with it. So if you're an AoS player, you haven't missed anything. If you're a 40k player, you have missed something. Also the protest thing, I don't know really what the situation is with that. I'm just not going that way, so I'm just staying out of it, really. The mindset you get into painting miniatures also found to be useful on the day-to-day stuff. Depends on what your mindset is when you're painting. Some people's, my mindset is I want to get this done, but I want it to be done relatively well. I'm not going for perfection, but I want to do it relatively well. Because my sort of outlook on life is very much a bit of it's a pragmatic thing. I'm very pragmatic, and so I'll compromise a lot to get stuff done. I'm very much a get shit done type of person. That's the way I operate. I'm a get shit done type of person. So yeah, that's the way I think about it, and it's the same. I guess that does carry over from painting to life, although to be fair, it's more my life being applied to painting, because I will sacrifice things in one aspect of my life to get something done in another aspect. So I'll put the channel on hold to get through an exam period, and then I'll put something else on hold or pull my attention away from something to go and focus back on the channel, or whatever. I'm very much pragmatic, but I also don't think too long term. It's like with my Stormcast army, I quite often would change my plans. Like the basic plan was to create the Vanguard Auxiliary Chamber, which I've done. I've not done. I'm actually short a unit of Paladors and a unit of Raptors, but I've added in a huge amount of Warrior Chamber, a bunch of Extremis elements, and now the Sacrosanct stuff's coming out. So I suppose, yeah, I suppose it does carry over in some ways, but not entirely. Yeah, there's no Imperator model. Someone's already answered that for me. How much do you go into layering customization? I've spent 30 hours of pre-work for my Primaris, but now I have custom bases. Yeah, fair point. Thank you. Especially like your unofficial chapters series. Yeah, we did the Minotaurs, the Carcharodons, and the Red Scorpions. Well, that wasn't really a series per se. It's just I happened to want to do all of the Forge World chapters together. So I sort of did it as like an unofficial mini-series. So yeah, I suppose that's true. So what do you enjoy doing while painting? Talking and doing discussion. You might have noticed I paint a lot of my hobby work. If you've been around a lot of the streams, I paint a lot on stream, and anyone who's been in the Discord with me knows that when I'm in the Discord, I'm very often hobbying. So like I painted this Tempestor in I think 2 sit-downs in Discord, and the other Tempestor, the one I built on stream on Tuesday, I did in 6 hours. I painted it in over about 6 hours whilst just having a natter in the Discord. So I quite like to do discussions and just chat with people whilst I work. I can't watch videos and streams and things like that because I get distracted. But having either music or conversation, those are the sort of 2 things that encourage my work rate the best. So what is your go-to faction? For AoS at the minute it's Stormcast, although I will be starting a new army soon, and for 40k it's Tau, as you might have noticed by, well, everything. If Godric Gunnison survived end times and he's in AoS, yes. Will he then be a new living ancestor, or will no one remember him? That we don't know. We'll wait for Realm Slayer to come out, because if he just randomly got spat out, like Marathi did, well actually no, if he got spat out at complete random, then he's just some dude. If his like soul was transported over a la Grimnir, Sigmar, etc., then he's going to be a legend. It will sort of vary depending on what his origin story for AoS is going to be. Yeah, first big model, I get that. And it was the same with my Magnus. I put way more time into my Magnus than I put into any other model ever. But I just work a lot faster, and I just focused it down and got it done. So I get that, I do. Yeah, I find it weird. I can't listen to like podcasts, YouTube videos, and streams whilst I paint. To be fair, I can't generally do it while I work so much either. The problem I have is I end up listening too much to what's going on. Particularly if it's a video, I end up listening really hard. I'm trying to watch what's going on to match it up. Therefore, I get distracted very, very easily. Music, that doesn't happen so much. But podcasts, I can listen back to an All Adeptus Podcastus and I'll manage. But I can't listen back. I can't listen to a video I've not seen before, or a podcast I've not heard before, because I'll get distracted listening to it, and therefore I won't be able to work. So it's a weird one. Like, I'm really good at talking and having conversation with people. I won't always remember everything that was in that conversation, but I enjoy doing it as a conversation because I'm not distracted as much, and I can just work while I paint, or talk while I paint. Though I suppose in my job, talking is working. Details. Yeah, the whole epic range, especially now Titanicus is out, the whole epic range is an entirely canned thing. It's definitely out of production. I don't know when it went out of production, but it's been out of production for a while now. So yeah, that's a good discussion. Anyway, I probably should do some AoS 2 since it's in the title of the stream, so I kind of have to do it. So the main things we've had since Tuesday has been regarding magic. So magic, summoning, endless spells, and the like. That's the sort of thing we've had over the past few days for AoS 2, and honestly, it's been a really fascinating little set of time for discussion. 19 centimeters. Jeez, that's quite short. 1, not getting Custodes. 2, absolutely not making the Caretakers. Nope. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, AoS 2. So yeah, what we had going into this week regarding AoS 2 was a bit of a concern about Magic's power level in terms of Magic sniping. Because they nerfed snipers with Lookout Sir, there was a concern that, oh wait, you're just going to be able to Magic snipe people with things like Arcane Bolt, snipe, 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 snipe. And it was just going to be really stupid. So what they've done is actually really, really good. They've done some really nice changes. So there's a nerf to Arcane Bolt and a nerf to Mystic Shield, which is great. They've also added in better dispelling, so that some armies are better at shutting down magic, which is good and bad. And just little things like that, and then they've added the endless spells as well, but that's a whole topic of debate. Yeah. If you had to choose, would you rather play AoS or 40k more? Oh god. I feel like to play, AoS is the better game. In many ways. Maybe that's just because I've played it more over the past 12 months and I've barely touched 40k. But to play, and strictly to play, AoS I think feels more fun. Because 40k is a lot... I don't know. It's hard to explain because they are very different but very similar games. And I hold both in high esteem. But I'd rather play games of AoS than I would play games of 40k. Maybe it's just because I had 40k burnout after 8th edition came out, because I played a bunch of it. My army was garbage. I lost all the time. And then while I was away, my army got their update, and it turns out they're still not that good. So maybe I'm just not in the mood for playing 40k, and that's happened before, by the way. I have had phases where I fall out of love with a game. I started basically YouTube because I fell out of love with 40k for a time, and because AoS didn't need, and I wasn't really playing fantasy. And I fell out of love with AoS last year. I very rarely talked about Age of Sigmar last year. Whereas this year I've got a lot more into AoS, and maybe I'm having a bit of a 40k burnout. I don't know. So at the moment I'd rather play AoS, but AoS 2 isn't out yet, so we'll have to see about that and all those things. So I don't know, in truth. Always been interested in starting a Tau army. Get the start collecting. always get to start collecting. Start collecting are great. You get an Ethereal or a Firelord if you convert it. You get Fire Warriors or a Breacher. You get Crisis Suits. There's a decent basis. And then it seems like the focus these days is infantry, and more infantry, with tanks and commanders to flavour. But Crisis Suits are garbage tier, so I hear. First time watching the stream, cheers for the lore videos. Always listen as I'm driving. Fair enough. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed the stuff. And yeah, the Farsight videos. Oh, the Farsight videos. Oh god, the Farsight videos. They're terrible. By the standards of today, the Farsight videos are absolutely terrible. Because they're just me reading from the codex, well, the supplement. They're just me reading from the supplement. It's like far less quality went into them. Because I can read the books, and I can read the articles, and I can learn from them, and create my own script, my own take on it. Am I lagging? I might be lagging slightly. I feel like there's some lag. If there is lag, that's annoying. But yeah, yeah, my lore videos now are far more me. Like they're my videos written my way, and just much more my style. The Farsight videos were back when I was experimenting and not being very good at lore videos, but I take nothing away from the Farsight lore videos. They got me into Commander Farsight as a character and is the reason I have a tower army, so enough said. We're just stuck in firing lines. Gun lines is annoying, but I don't know. I think like it's flavour. It might actually be flavour that AoS has got going for it. It's got more army variety and more flavour to it. I don't know. So maybe like in AoS it feels more cohesive rather than just psychic shoot melee as an afterthought to clean. I mean, the melee as an afterthought to clean up. I don't know. It's really hard to pin down. I feel like AoS has the potential to be more deep strategically, but particularly now with like the changes to magic and the hero phase and all those sorts of things. We haven't seen all the details yet, but I feel like it could be that, and it could just be flavour. I honestly don't know. Orcs still dominate without the codex. Well, yeah, okay, fine. They are classics. They are classics, fair play. But compared to my newer videos, they are hot garbage. They are hot garbage. True. True. I always try and make my scripts as original as possible. I mean, there are phrases that I borrow from Lexicanum or a codex. Yeah. The Legions of Renown? That's 2 systems. Legions was a mini-series, and Regiments of Renown was a separate mini-series. There's 2 entirely separate mini-series hidden in there. There's 2 separate mini-series hidden in there. One on the Legiones Astartes and the other on the Imperial Astra Militarum regiments. It was just a better system. 40k is really unbalanced. I don't know about balance because I don't give 2 hoots about top tables. I don't give a shit. I really don't. Excuse my French. I don't care about top tables. But AoS certainly feels cleaner. Actually, that's a really good word for it. It's a really clean system. Everything makes sense. There's no weird clashes of interest and weird interactions much. There's the odd one. But generally it just feels cleaner cut. That's all. Hordes can do whatever the ladder stratagems really hurts orcs. True, but they still won the bloody Warhammer Fest GT. Enough said. I don't know if 8th is worse than 7th. I really think 7th was 7th was bad. Like, I covered 7th on this channel a lot. Like, 7th was around less time than this bloody channel was. I saw the whole of 7th, and whilst we didn't see the worst of what the game could do, it was just utterly degenerate at times. Like, it was absolutely degenerate. 8th can do some really nasty things to you, but GW now are much better at keeping things patched, and passing out balance changes. Whether they're the right balance changes and whether they work is another debate entirely, but they're trying to keep the game balanced-ish. So, yeah, it has its problems, and in some ways, 7th might have perks over 8th, but I would still say 8th is the better overall edition. One of the harder good forms seems to be really good against gun lines. Yeah, I think that's, isn't there like a -1 to shooting form? I can't remember. Oh, 6th consolidation maybe. Seventh was too bloated with rules. What I'm not liking with 8th, they seem to be afraid to branch out and get new effects to make armies unique. Now that's actually a really, really interesting point. This is the thing I was talking about earlier with the Knights. Particularly in the early releases of 8th, with the Space Marines, the Guard, the Chaos Marines, and later again with the Tau and some others. The army abilities, like the Septenets, the Chapter Tactics, the Regimental Tactics, they did feel very much just like shuffled versions of each other. Like you just moved a couple of abilities around, hidden away, and yeah, I get what you're saying with that. I think they've sort of addressed that a bit because the Drakari were quite unique, the Necrons were quite unique, and the Knights look like they're going to be really unique. But certainly in the early days of 8, that was true. I'm not taking a lot of pride in the Orc win. I've heard on several podcasts about how his playstyle was. Valid. I mean, I've not looked into it too hard, but yeah, valid. Has anyone ever played a Solitaire on table? I haven't faced one in 8th edition. I faced one in 7th, I think. Did I? I might have done. I might not have done, actually. I can't remember. No, I don't think I did. This was the only thing I never fought. 40k top balance at the top table, GW doesn't listen to or care for smaller players and only tweaks the game for the tournament going 1%. The big FAQ had no positive effect. For those that don't go turning only limited army builds. I admit, the tournament-based nerfs of, like, the spam nerf and the soup nerf, like, I get it. I get the problems that they had with the big FAQ. And I've raised this, I've said it before on the podcast, GW has to listen to those top tables because they don't want another situation like 7th where the game was just utterly degenerate and broken and stupid. And when those people at the top are doing this degenerate crap, the people lower down the food chain copy that degenerate crap, and so the entire game turns into degenerate crap. Unless you're actively avoiding that stuff, the game just is crap. 8th, if they keep the top balance and people just copy net lists, at the least they're not going to be as degenerate and they'll be able to compete with each other. Admittedly, some of the nerfs do hurt creativity and flexibility in army builds at the casual level, but the main nerf that went into place, the spam nerf, you can just ignore because that's for organised play. Not matched play, which is the point system, the organised play. So you can ignore it. The best thing about it, even some of the armies are a little bland, they're more balanced than it's ever been at the top. The problem is, if you're not taking the best of what an army can bring, and I mean the utterly degenerate best, you can just get run over by armies whose mid-tier armies are better than anything your army can field other than the degenerate stuff, even if your degenerate stuff at the top level is relatively balanced. I think that's something that is a concern. And something I noticed with my Tau is if you run crisis suits, particularly before the Codex and maybe even still after the Codex, you just got kind of dunked on. Spam nerf should have happened. It forces people to make a balanced army. Yes, but also thematics. I get it. I get both sides of the argument regarding that nerf. I do. GW only plays day from tournaments. Those players that reflect such a small minority of the player base. Local cause people don't bring net lists. The nerfs are reserved. The Alpha Strike nerf really does hurt. I do regret. The Alpha Strike nerf is problematic. I do agree the Alpha Strike nerf is problematic. I completely agree with why it exists. The fact it exists, I actually agree with. But it does cripple some armies who just want to do fun stuff in matched play. I mean, you can just play narrative play with points and ignore it. The definition of degenerate really does depend on what your opinion of the tournament scene is. Like, if you're someone who goes to tournaments and enjoys playing tournament games and enjoys that sort of gaming, then you don't see it the same way. Whereas for me, something that just abuses the rules, blatantly abuses them, and just creates stupid combos that have no logical reasoning and just are there to be scummy, that is what I consider to be like degenerate stuff. Like the whole orc thing of just literally drowning the board. Like, I know it's an orky thing to do, but it sounds like it was implemented in such a scummy way as to actually really piss people off. It's completely up to definition by what your opinion is. Oi, Rowan, knock it off. I mean, I prefer Fallout New Vegas, but unless that's a Siege of Legion reference, it might just be a Siege of Legion reference. The Alpha Enough is in beta, that's true. It might not be written in, but the fact that they're actually having to do it makes you... it's a really awkward balancing act, because you don't want your top tables and your tournaments to just be broken crap. You really don't. Like, that just paints the wrong picture of the game and creates that toxic environment that we had in 7th, where some armies, like people who never play a tournament in their life, never ever even would look at a tournament, get shat on for playing an army that is degenerate at the top tables. That's the problem. Because if an army is broken at the top table, like so broken at the top tables, the hate for it just filters down through everybody. Like, playing Tau and Eldar in 7th edition got you flack. I got flack for being a Tau player in 7th edition, despite the fact that I played as on-theme Farsight as I could play. I did none of the degenerate stuff, not really, anyway, if I did, I didn't notice. And I got absolutely dunked on for just being a Tau player. That attitude cannot be allowed. So whereas if the games can do stupid crap at tournaments, but everybody's doing the same amount of roughly balanced stupid crap, that attitude doesn't come down. Yes, there are then problems with the game mechanics themselves, but you can't have a happy casual community that is a happy casual community that can do what the hell it wants and have fun, and a casual and a happy tournament community that looks to break the game. The reason that open play exists is to allow you to sidestep these nerfs and these restrictions and do what the hell you want. That's why open play exists. You said it there. They make it harder for casuals to actually play the game. At tournaments, maybe. But you can still play the game however you like. Just play open play with points. You can literally sidestep every single nerf and every single patch if you just play open play with points. I know that's a stupid suggestion because it doesn't really fix the problem, but it allows the tournament scene to be balanced and allows the casuals to do what they want and play the game the way they want to play it. That's why open play and narrative play are so damn important, because you don't have to use the nerfs. They're matched play nerfs. They're not overall nerfs. They're organised and matched play nerfs. They're not open play nerfs. Open play, you can do what the flip you want. Just keep that in mind. In D&D, you always have that one player who looks at the ultimate combo. It can be fun once in a while. It's not as fun as the base for every game. Yeah, I agree. And it is such an awkward situation because you can fall on either side and it is stuck. A forbidden formation of squigs in fantasy. Was it legal? Yes. Was it fun? No. So they sort of soft banned it and stopped you taking it. Okay. I mean, that's gentleman's agreement. Like, if it's not officially banned, that's effectively gentleman's agreement, and you will never get gentleman's agreements at the top tables of a tournament. I know it happened there because it was so not fun for anybody that they actually banned it. But if they wanted to do that at tournaments now, they don't have a way to do that because formations, which were probably one of the best and worst aspects of 7th now don't exist. You can't just ban a unit, so they have to nerf it, but that nerfs everybody. Tournament should never take priority because of how small it is. Also, ever asked anyone to play open or now to play even with points, they will just laugh. Really? Our gaming group will do it. Like, I've done narrative missions. I enjoy playing the narrative scenarios. I've played them in bloody battle reports. Like, the 10,000 subscriber special was not a hyper-competitive match. It was a narrative battle report. The last game of 40k I played was a narrative battle report. I was on the other end of this, a very similar mission. So, it will depend on your community. If your community are, for want of a better word, that guy who will say, "Oh my god, the game is broken, and these nerfs are stupid, I can't play whatever I want. Oh wait, there's a system that allows me to do that. No, stupid system, that's stupid." You see the problem? If some people are going to be that guy, you can't help the people who are being that guy, or that girl, or that other person. You can't help those people. Those people just exist, and they're annoying, and you just have to deal with it. If you have a community that will not acknowledge open play, but then whines about the nerfs to matched play, that's just not fun for anybody. You need a community. That's not a reflection on the game. I'm sorry, that's not the game. That's you. If you're one of those people who complains about match play nerfs and saying, "I can't do what I want, this nerfs my army to hell, and it's stupid," I don't know why I do an American accent for a random whiny person. But for a random whiny person, I decided to do a stupid generic American accent. I say, "I can't do whatever the hell I want because these nerfs are stupid, I can't spam what the hell I want." But, yeah. People should be able to play the system they want with their 300 pounds of models. Correct. I know that. I agree with that. I'm not saying you can't expect to want to play matched play, but you can play open play and selectively pick the nerfs and say, "This nerf is stupid, therefore we're not going to use it, but we'll use this one because this makes sense." So, like, one of us wants to play a thematic Farsight bomb army, okay, we'll just not play the Alpha Strike nerf for this mission. Or we need an army where it's literally like a super elite brotherhood, okay, we'll ignore the spam nerf. Or it's a desperate Imperial coalition, okay, we'll ignore the soup nerf. You can still get the game you want, you just have to be flexible about it. All the locals here play with points and mostly competitive and just agree with the nerfs and stuff. There's a lot of ITC missions that ITC can make adjustments like they are. Valid. The TOs can also help with this. Yeah, okay, maybe it's not an American accent, but you know, it's all, I don't know, I just can't, that's just my generic whiny person accent. I don't think I'm mocking Alexis by doing a bloody slightly American accent. Like, it's not a New Yorker accent, or if it is a New Yorker accent, there's no New Yorker accent I ever heard. It sounds more like if I had to say, it's more like a Midwestern accent. I don't know Americans. Well, I don't know American accents anyway. I know a few Americans, I don't know American accents. Start playing because culo duo was the most common attitude. Yeah, if you have a community of that guy, you can't really do much about it. It sucks. It really does suck, and I do sympathize. But you don't have... The game is not broken because people are being that guy. Like, we have a community at our local store back home, which is mostly the mods plus a few other people. And we're very much willing to say, okay, we need a game type today, let's do it, and we're flexible about it. We might want to play a narrative game one time, and we'll arrange that in advance to make sure that we pick the right armies for it. Or we'll decide, okay, we're just going to throw on a dice table and see what we want, and we'll sit within match play, or we'll do whatever else hell we want to do. We're flexible. And that's important. I'll shut up then. Yeah, I don't know accents. It came off as generic American. Like, to be fair though, if an American tries to do a British accent, you always end up with the person who does the Queen's English accent. And can I just point out that absolutely nobody speaks with this accent. I genuinely can't think of a person in England that I've encountered, other than perhaps, well, I've not encountered the Queen, but I suppose the Queen would count, as an individual who speaks with this accent. Not even the politicians. The politicians who represent our country speak with this accent. In fact, I don't think anybody does. You see what I mean? That's generic British. That's generic British, but nobody speaks that way. So if I use generic American, even if no American speaks that way, you see my point. You see my point. Also, I know that was very insensitive, but yeah, okay, sorry. I'm sorry, that was rather insensitive, but hey. Mistakes were made. No, I'm not telling you to be quiet. I'm not telling you that at all. It's just... I'm pissed off right now. Sorry, I'm not telling you to be quiet because you make a very fair point. Your argument is valid. It's just like... There's two sides to it and I just happen to fall on the other side. That's all. And it's good to have those debates. And I'm glad we had that debate. It is good to have those debates. Trying to get AoS out of my local store, any advice? The models. Really? I mean, to be fair, there's no better time to be getting people in AoS than right now. Because with the new edition coming out, like, people just like, oh, there's a new rulebook. Well, I suppose I can try it, can't I? There's a new handbook, there's a new rulebook. Screw it. So realistically, you could just say, I want to get the AoS starter box. Does anyone going to go halves with me and we'll play some test games with it? See if you like the system. Or maybe like, does anybody play demons? Like, if there's a demons player, it's like, why don't you give AoS a go? Because the army's working both systems. I can't do accents. I can do very generic, like, Western accent that I did in my year 6 play that was like based on a cowboy theme, and I did the word like I had the most over exaggerated American accent, cowboy accent of everybody. So I think I just got the job by default. But yeah. Ooh, Shadespire. That reminds me, if you are not a Shadespire player, but you want the Shadespire models, you can now pre-order the Shadespire warbands for £2.50 less than them with the cards. Is it worth it to start now or wait for the new edition? Well, I would say start talking about it now. Try and get a little bit of hype going. It's like, there's a new edition coming out, I want to buy in, or I bought in, who's with me? And so it's saying, okay, so here's how the system works. You start explaining the rules and say, here's what they're changing, and how things are going to work. So you might recognise, how, actually, is there anything that crosses over, like with magic and stuff? And you say, well, they've got a slightly different damage system, so they work it like this, and they use the morale system the 40k's got, but generally, melee, it's more of a melee focused game, and weapons are a lot less powerful at range, generally, but your armor's a little bit worse. I'd start now trying to get a little bit of hype going for the game, because once the edition comes out, that hype will die away quite quickly if nobody invests. So you need people to be investing pretty much on day one, or at least willing to give it a go on day one. You need people who are willing to say, you know what, screw it. I'll give you a game. I might not buy into it, I might have to do a proxy match with you, but I'll give you a game. And if I like it, with the army that I want to play, I might buy in. That's what I would do. Like, try and get some hype going now, and then when the edition drops, start playing. Do you think they'll be bringing Ross back anytime soon? I think we're more likely to get Lion first. Also, I should do some painting, because I've realised I'm not going to be getting much AoS 2 discussion in here, so I can do some painting. That's true. Yeah, the starter box is always a great place to start, because of course it's the starter box. And start collecting for AoS are ridiculous value as well, just remember that. We might get Rust with the Space Force Codex. I find it as an... I'll take that as an outside bet. I don't think so, but I wouldn't rule it out. Yeah, demo games. Just like that's like what I do is like if I'm doing a teaching game to show someone my game, I'll give them my spare army, or we'll just do a mirror match, and I'll say, here's the system. It's a really basic system. Have at. And that's what I'll do is like just demonstrate the game. Give them one wizard, a shooting unit, a bit of cavalry, a bit of melee. Just give them the basics. Don't give them like super complex stuff like priests and all that stuff. Just give them the basics of what they need to understand the phases of the game, like a caster hero, a beat stick hero, a shooter unit, a melee unit, a cavalry unit, and some battle line. So here's like sort of what a basic army looks like, and then go with it. And maybe a monster if you really want to push your luck, but I don't know if you do want to push your luck. It will be very interesting to see what happens when the lion comes back, if and when. What got me into it was me talking about it, but I got a few people in my club by advertising a new system. It's a better model than a lot of void games, relatively cheap to start. Yeah, like, to get 1,000 points in AoS is really quite simple. Like for Stormcast, if you buy the Stormcast Eternal Start Collecting, you get what? 100 points of Hero, 80 points of Prosecutors, a couple of Paladins, although you don't really get much for that because you need the starter box. Actually, a better option would probably be the Vanguard one. You get a Lord of Keylor, 5 Vanguard Hunters, 3 Vanguard Paladors, and a few Griff Hounds. That right there, 220, 440, 220, 420, 560. It's give or take 600 or 700 points straight away. You can get an army pretty cheap. You just add one unit to that, like maybe a second hero, like a wizard hero, and maybe another battle line unit. 1k points, done. I mean, I'm glad I was able to convince you to get into the game. That's score 1 for me, but yeah, I'm glad that it worked just by advertising it and how easy it is to get into, because it's really easy to get into. To get a lower promo sometime with the summer for September, I'm going to say we're going to get Fulgrim in that time, because Slanesh is coming, and not in that way before anybody thinks it. But Slanesh is going to be around soon, because we've seen it in the rumour engine and stuff, so I'm thinking we'll get Fulgrim over the summer, and then maybe we'll get a Loyalist a little bit later, maybe around Christmas, if at all. Also, it is important when you play with them, don't play to destroy them. Yeah, play for fun, play for competitive, like play with maybe play a mirror match. If you've got enough units to do it, play a mirror match. Because that way, you both get to see what your armies are capable of. You've got the tactical nous, but, well, I can say this myself, they've got beginner's luck. And they can pick up the game very, very quickly by seeing what you're doing and trying to respond to what you're doing in maybe slightly different ways. If you can't do a mirror match, then, yeah, just don't go for the table, because that can put people... If they're one of those hyper-competitive people who loves the thrill of, like, super hard games like Dark Souls or whatever, then maybe you do play a little bit harder with them rather than being all mollycoddling. But it really depends on them and on you. Is the Webway game worth it? I have no idea. I've not seen its rules. Thank you, Rowan. Is that it? That's not in it. Actually, that might be it. Are the start collecting's balanced? No. Some of them, yes. But like, if you look at Age of Sigmar, let's take a couple of start collectings for example. Fire Slayers. That comes with heroes, it comes with a Magma Droth and some infantry. That's really bloody good. Whereas the Stormcast one comes with a hero, some prosecutors, 2 paladins, and a couple of liberators. That's not balanced. And then Sylvaneth comes with a pack of dryads, a branch witch, and a tree lord, which might be a bit more balanced to Fire Slayers. But generally, no, they're not. But what you might want to do is using start collecting. If you happen to have 2 armies, or you have a friend who's willing to lend you an army for a demo game, then get them to 1k points or 500 points, and that's when the games become balanced. As long as you're not bringing a monster on one side and not on the other, you cheat. But yeah, whatever sort of units you give to yourself, give to your opponent. So if you give yourself a monster, give them a similar monster. So if you give yourself a Magma Droth, give them a Tree Lord. If you give yourself a wizard, give them a wizard or a priest, depending on what their army specialises in. If you give yourself a unit of heavy cavalry, give them some heavy cavalry, or maybe some really, really heavy infantry, or 2 units of heavy infantry as compensation. You give yourself some really long-range shooting units, give them a butt-ton of gun shooting unit. Just try and balance the game up in your head and on points. Don't just think start collecting v start collecting, because whilst it might be the easy way, it's not necessarily the fair way. Or you could just give yourself the bad one and treat it as a challenge to try and overcome the odds. Do I want to do another highlight of Hellion Green? Maybe. Yeah, there is variance, and generally the classic armies like Space Marines and Stormcast generally do lose out in that race. I should not have put this behind my computer. This was not wise. Right, so Quelea Green Shade. Don't remember the AoS. I don't remember what's in the bloody start collecting slash. I could probably, well, if I didn't have a paintbrush in mind, I could probably get the General's Handbook and check if you'd tell me what's in it. I could probably check for you, but as I've got paintbrush in my hand, I don't really want to stop at this exact moment. Though, if you do want to know, I can check in a bit. Just remind me, I forgot to dry brush this segment in Hellion Green. Whoops. Paper that comes from non-major miniature games, showing the Warhammer TV tutorials. Yes, in some ways. However, the high quality of the Duncan and Peachy tutorials, whilst they're great videos and will be great for painters, some of them do ask for a lot of paints, ergo a lot of money. So you might not want to start with that unless you have a very specific thing you want to do. We've discussed the whole Lion Gilliman dynamic before on Adeptus Podcastus, and it's going to be interesting. We'll say that, it's going to be interesting. Podcast is going to be on Remlaze's channel this week. Yeah, it's going to be on Remlaze's. 10 Demonettes, 5 Seekers, Exalted Seeker Chariot. Right. I'll try and remember that. Chariot could be run as a Herald. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Because in that combo, you'd have to run it as a Herald on Chariot. Or as a Herald and a Hellflayer. Oh yeah, maybe a how to paint this. Okay, yeah. Fair play, fair play. Yeah, sorry, I do know what you mean. Yeah, I always forget they do those types of videos, like how to paint this certain thing as opposed to those full masterclasses. You have a point. I always forget that's a thing. I don't know. Is it fair to say GW isn't like the Dark Angels as much? Because I mean, the Dark Angels are as subject to as many memes as the Space Wolves are. At times, I don't know. I don't know if they like them less. I think that would be hard to say. But they might do. I think it would be it would sort of be an inbuilt hidden bias rather than actually they don't like them, but you may have a point. The masterclasses do require 20 to 30 for I mean, to be fair, this model alone is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15? Yeah, this is going to be 15 plus the base for a bloody Draco that looks like this. So you get the paints pile up pretty fast. So 20 to 30, yeah, okay, it is a lot, but I mean, I use 15 just to paint a bloody Draco, so I suppose. Then again, if I look at my Liberators, it's like black armor, grey cloth, which also does the dry brush, gold, grey 2 of, black, gold 2 of, silver 2 of, red 2 of, purple 1 of, 2 washes, silver? Is it silver? Oh, bollocks. Yeah, the paints pile up. The paints do pile up. The 20 to 30 for a character like Marathi, with the amount of textures and details she's got going on, it's not super harsh. Yes, you do get the special talents, but they're not for match play because they don't have points. Which is a shame, because the ones that do come with them do not come with points, which is a shame. Is there anything here I need to see? I'd like for Lion to return for more than any other, given how it looks like we're going to model. Then Ross just seemed more, yeah, Sanguinius. It's alright. Returning Sanguinius annoys me. I think you'd know that by now. Returning Sanguinius bugs me. But what can you do? If they bring him back, they better be bloody careful about it. Russ is plausible, but I don't know. I feel like Lion is the most likely, just because there's a good reason for him to be back. Like, is the easiest person lore-wise to write back into the plot. I'll say that. Anyway, while I put that wash to dry, let me have a look. This is my handbook. Why am I swearing so much tonight? It's weird. Oh, don't mention Sanguinius, that causes trouble. Right, okay, Host of Slanesh. Nope, overshot. Host of Slanesh, it's on the screen, it is. 10 Demonettes, 100 points. 5 Seekers. Seekers. Oh, Seekers. What the hell are Hellstriders? What the flip is a Hellstrider? I don't know. I don't know what that is. But they're also battle line, which probably helps. They might be the same unit. I don't suddenly know. Anyway, 120. Herald of Slanesh on Exalted Seeker Chariot is 160. So 220. It's about 400 points, give or take. Or if you could get the Herald off and take a Hellflayer, that's 140 total. Okay, so 160 is the highest, yeah. I always buy Citadel for my paints. I just do. So I wouldn't know. Russ is not confirmed Wolfen, it's just exceptionally likely that he's Wolfen. Yeah, you have a point. You have a point. The Dark Angels didn't get one, the Blood Angels did, the Space Wolves did. Yeah, you have a point on that. Lobotomy Khan. I don't know. I feel like once we get Book 8 and we get a bit of a look into Khan's personality, I think it'd be too interesting to do that too. I hope. Hellstriders are mortal variants. Oh, right. Okay, so they're dudes on Seekers. Right, okay, it's dudes on Seekers. Sorry, dudes on Steeds. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you. I should have known that, really. Given that the Mighty Skullcrushers exist. Oh, bloody hell. Now I've got hiccups. That's just great. That's just... Merci beaucoup. Bum, bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum. So, Caribou Crimson? Yeah, Caribou Crimson. Love Caribou Crimson. Genuinely best paint I've come across this year. It's Caribou Crimson. It's great. Love Caribou Crimson. My pronunciation. Damn it, Steve. If we get 4 more loyalists, I think we might end up with no more loyalists. And this is actually a really interesting theory. And I think it's actually plausible that we're not going to get any more loyalists. I think we might get one more, but the fact that it would change up like the state of the Imperium so massively makes me wonder that I don't know if we will. There's an argument for saying that we won't, and I think I could see them not doing it for just that reason. Just so it doesn't screw around with the state of the Imperium anymore. Something wrong with HS Rossmol's face. Yeah, it's not as... But to be fair, if there's one critique I have of the Primarch models, it's the faces. Like, Fulgrim's model's face is derpy as sin. Korax's model's face is not stellar. Kurz's is alright. It's not my favourite. It's alright. But yeah, faces is something that the Primarch seem to struggle with a little bit. Boop. Boop. Do you think there is any Primarch level characters for other races? I feel like if they're going to do Primarch Ghazghkull, they might. If they do Primarch Ghazghkull, then I could see them doing it again, but they didn't do it for the other races. They had a chance to with the Tau and the Tyranids especially, they had a chance to. But they didn't. So, why? Why would they just give it to the Orcs? Like, that's no disrespect to the Orcs. I love the Orcs. The Orcs are my first army. But why give it to just the Orcs? Why not have everybody just step their tech level up for the new age? I've not really had much critique about like the design of most GW faces. Just the Primarch ones particularly just are not my favourites. The Acadian ones are fine. I've not really had that many. The Elven ones are fine from my experience. I don't have a problem with them. I'm just bad at painting them. So yeah, I think it's just the Primarchs that really stick out to me. But yeah, maybe. But the ones they could bring back, Dawn, Khan, the one who shall not be named, would be pretty boring. Perhaps Korax would be cool. Korax is a believer in the Imperial Creed? Oh, I need to go back and check my Raven Guard lore video now if that's... I don't remember that being true. It might be true. But to be fair, whilst Gilliman hasn't bought into the Imperial Creed, he's basically just rolling with it because he doesn't have a choice. So I don't think it would be that... For religious reasons, I don't think it would be super interesting, but maybe. The Tower God is disappointed that this massive timeline jump, they didn't have any new cool shiny things. Yeah, I get it. It does suck, but it would have to be... You can't have this all for one system. It needs to be more of a one for all system where everyone gets the update. And the fact that most armies didn't get any models, and the only armies getting models are ones that desperately needed it, like Custodes, Death Guard, who basically didn't have any, and the Imperial Knights, who basically didn't have any, means that they're not really about updating armies ranges at this point. They're currently just more fussed with getting everything up to date with the new edition. So yes, it does suck, but I know why they've not done it, at the very least not yet. Bum, 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 ba, 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 bum. Korax got really angry with the leader of the Etherian cohort trying to convert into the Imperial Creed. Okay, I'm going to go back and check my Raven Guard lore video now, so apologies for lag, if there is lag. Death Guard, Salamanders, Emperor's Children, Raven Guard. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Sorry, trying to free my own lore. I don't see where... I might have said it. I can't see where I said it. But I might have said it. I might have said it. I can't find it in my own script, although I'm skim reading. I'm skim reading for my own benefit. Like I say, I can't read it in a skim read of my own script. That's not to say it's there. It's not that it's not there, but I can't see it in a skim read. So cross fingers for 9. I don't think we'll get a new rule. Like AoS has gone 3 years without a rulebook. I think 8th edition can do the same. Oh, cocking hell! Did I not base coat the... Ugh. Right, okay, so I need to do a bit more on this model then. On this bloody helmet. How did I not notice? Because I've not done it. Bloody hell. Oh, bloody hell. One of my favourite lawmakers is the War of the Beast. When the Black Templar chapter master going full religious fanatic, the rest of the chapter just looks at look at him like he's insane. Oh god, yeah, I can imagine that being very amusing. Like the Imperial Fist guys and the other Sons of the Last War, they're just like, is he on about? There we go. Correct best TTS Primarch. Excuse me. Excuse me. Magnus. Enough said. Past edition were 2 years long and 40. Yeah, that's true. 6th edition was not around for long at all, and 7th edition neither. Both of them were pretty short editions. Like I say, I've been on YouTube longer than 7th edition has. Than 7th edition was around. I was on YouTube before 7th edition came out, and I outlived it. So I agree, but I think they've actually found a more stable rules that they're updating, keeping up to date. So I think they'll only give us a new edition a little bit later once they've realised, okay, this is now unpatchable. The Black Templar Dreadnought going full creature and the Iron Warrior rolling his eyes so hard they almost fall out of his head. Yeah, I can imagine that being accepted. I just wish there was a bloody word bearer there who'd just be like, he's just got the oh, what's his bloody name? Guy with a really French name from Star Trek. Oh, Picard. The Captain Picard, like, head shake, just with a wry laugh. It's like, you know we taught you that, right? That was Lorgar's idea, damn it. That was Lorgar, god damn it. 5th lasted for 4 years? 5th was 2008 to either 2012 or 2013. 5th edition did stick around for ages, but it was still one of the youngest editions of its time. To be fair, 5th is one of the most nostalgic, popular editions, I feel like. So a lot of people have nostalgia for 5th. I'd pay for a law talk between a Dark Apostle and a chaplain. Well, it would go something along the lines of, you realise your religion is exactly what Lorgar told you to do, right? You're wrong! The Emperor is a divine being and you know it, and he is diddly diddly dee. Basically, it would just be the Black Templar being in constant denial. That's all it would be. It would probably be kind of boring. It would be a 2-line conversation before it just turned into a smash fest. And the Black Templar would just stop listening. I suspect. Okay, fine. The base came to the back now. I'll be highlighting that in a minute. The Emperor protects. No, he does not. He told us to stop saying that. Yeah. I'm afraid not. This Britannia, as always, is dead. Very, 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 very dead. Sorry. Repenting is more the Dark Angel's trick rather than the Black Templar's trick. That would be amusing to see him try. It would be amusing to see him try. Britannia was kind of fun, but yeah. It's very dead. Asmodai, maybe. A Black Templar? No. Okay, non-oil. There's my non-oil. There's my non-oil. It's nearly 2 hours already. I might not actually finish this model on stream, so I might have to do it in the Discord. Black Templar doctrine is similar to history. Save your soul by smashing your head open with this blessed weapon. No need to thank me. I do this for your own good. The country is dead, but Gilles de Breton is still alive. So is Belle la Choufoutelle? 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 Oh, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce that. Belle la Choufoutelle. Not sure if there's an accent. Choufoutelle seems the most logical way to pronounce that. If Gilles de Breton does fancy being a Stormcast Eternal, that'd be kind of fun. Next time Sigmar smashes the open another chamber button, turns out there's a full army of mounted Stormcast. To be fair, he's already done that. It's called the Extremis Chamber, who were all cavalry. They just happen to be dragons cavalry. Gilles is the sacred protector of the free cities. I don't know my free people's law well enough to validate, to confirm or deny that, though I could see it being true. I could see it being true. Never played second edition myself. I've obviously no nostalgia for it. The game's older than me, so I think third edition came out about the time I was born. So I have no nostalgia for second edition, I'm afraid. Sure, it was plenty good. Just I have no recollection of it because I wasn't alive. Bum, 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 ba-da-da. Is that Yeah, that's it. Easy. Eric's thought question, but do you think that the White Armoured Stormcast, that's the Knights Excelsior, are going to pull off a full Horus Heresy? They sound quite evil. Okay. I'll put that to you as a 40k question. Do you believe that for the purging of colonies in the name of the Emperor, the Black Templars are going to cause heresy? Do you believe that they will cause a full-scale Imperial Civil War and the Horus Heresy Mark II Electric Boogaloo now in stores from the Black Templars? If your answer is no, then the answer to the Knights Excelsior is also no. That's the difference with the Knights Excelsior is, if I remember their lore correctly, they are like super babby hates chaos. Like they are the chaos hating chamber. So them going traitor, like particularly falling to chaos, is exceptionally unlikely. Yeah, they do some evil, questionable stuff, but so do all Stormcast, so does all of Order. Order is a very morally grey faction. With the Daughters of Cain, the Ideneth Deepkin, the mercenary nature of the Fire Slayers and the Caradron Overlords, Order is messed up in terms of morality. So the Knights Excelsior doing evil, dark things is really not out of place at all. To be fair, I don't think the Warhammer Adventure Kids are going to even encounter Gellerman. He's far too important. To be fair, that was not my line. Now, the Horus Heresy Mark II Electric Boogaloo now in stores is a TTS line. I ripped it straight from TTS. Lord Ray says that Gilliam looks by the says you guys are out of control. Yes, well no. They're not out of control. They still answer, they have their Eternal Crusade, but they still follow. If they're needed to be somewhere, then they'll be there. As far as I'm aware, they don't generally ignore a summons to a war zone or to a call for aid because some of the Stormcast going traitor with Nagash. Well, actually, I don't think that's how I would do it. The way I would do it is I would have Nagash capture the souls of Stormcast and then reforge them for himself. So instead of having them be reforged into true Stormcast Eternals, they become like dark reflections of themselves. So they're not who they want, quite who they once were. They're these dark mockeries of the Stormcast. So a challenge to Sigmar. It's like, you thought you could steal from me? No. Because I'm going to take your greatest work and throw it back at you. That's how I would do it if I wanted them to go with Nagash. The other problem with evil Stormcast is you need a way to deal with the fact that they go back to Azir when they die. You need to sort of have a plan in place for the reforging process. Do you just assume Sigmar deems them beyond reforging, ergo they're dead? Or does he reforge them again into purified versions of themselves, because they can do that, and then he sends them back after their former peers? A la, I don't know, like that thing in Warcraft with the Nerubians. I don't sort of know. Thoughts on Warhammer Adventures? If they handle it with a bit of tact, it has the potential to actually be really good. It has the potential to be an absolute firestorm of hell. It could be awful. But with a bit of tact and a bit of care and attention and a bit of respect, they could be excellent. I'm kind of like, wait and see. That's my attitude to them, is wait and see. Daunian Heresy, lol. Well, to be fair, Remlays did that in the Theoreticus Heresy, so I don't know why I'm laughing at it. The other one Messi traitor Stormcast said they're fighting alongside Marathon and see just how flipping messed up she is. betrayer, and Sigmar has to exile them until death. I think more accurately, the problem is, more often than not, they probably would just fight through it, and at the end confront her. Is more how they do it. If they couldn't confront her, then they'd report back to Sigmar, and Sigmar would eventually be forced to talk to Marathi about the situation. That's more what I'd expect would happen in that scenario. I mean, it could be done, and it's not a bad way to write it, but it would be tricky to do because of the way everything works. But maybe. Maybe. I think from the point of view, Joey, a lot of people that didn't like the Space Marines being the good guys love the Chaos Space Marines, so it could also work for sales of the Stormcast. Yeah, but the Stormcast are also proving to be quite popular and selling well. It doesn't hurt the fact they're getting a bunch of new releases and stuff. Alright, just put this down. Is that all of it? Yeah, that's all of it. Boop. Oh, crumbs, I forgot. I knew I'd forget this shoulder pad. Forgot to do the Calibre Crimson on it as well. Christ. Bop. Oh yeah, I'm not saying there's a right and a wrong answer. It's all theory crafting at the end of the day. Magakin book, there's a story about a Stormcast being corrupted and then reformed back to a Stormcast. Yeah, that does happen. There's a story quite recently in My Importance with a Knight Arcanum having to basically fix a broken Stormcast. It happens. I don't follow religion. If it wasn't clear, I don't follow religion. I'm not going to have a long debate about it. I'm not in the mood for a religious debate. But, yeah. Yeah. Nice. Game was better too before the end times. 40. Game is much better now. It's just different now. There's just no comparison. I disagree. I mean, you've probably already left. So I don't really think there's a way I can respond to that, but I disagree. I think AoS is in a different way to fantasy. Is it better? No, don't know. Personal taste. It's personal taste the word which is better or not. But yeah, I honestly don't think that's really true. But hey, whatever. Enemy stock gets a bit more similar miniatures, so not a lot of work. Oh, right. Yeah, I'm with you now. Sorry, my bad. Yeah, if your streamer's lagged behind, you could just like refresh it or try and click the big red button, see what happens. Because most people I think the delay is probably about 30 to 60. It's probably about 30 seconds. I don't know if I've actually set a custom delay, but it's probably about 30 seconds, maybe 60 seconds. Have a look. This might cause a little bit of lag. If it does, I apologize. Output. Do I have a delay? Can I actually have a look at how the delay works? Oh, I can't see it here, what the delay is in my software. To each their own, exactly. And now you're leaving, fair. But it is really to each their own. Everyone has their preferences. I personally prefer AoS to fantasy, and in some ways I prefer it to 40k. Rowan's promotional material is just perfect. I'm joking, you know. Tables, oh god. Okay, so I need to do the Calibre Crimson on that and on the back of his head. And then the wash is done. Glad that Dido is trying to push the story forward. You can only read so much about Dante, sometimes has a book to book before it gets boring. Well, Devastation of Baal helped with that. Well, I don't think... A computer's not a potato. It's a decent computer. Oh, we're already in the centre. Oh, I'll fix that. Fantasy never interested me. AoS better models and there's an actually unique setting other than fantasy, which in my opinion was no different to thousands of others. Sorry, I read that verbatim. Yeah, I get it. The setting is really quite interesting for fantasy. Well, the fantasy setting was kind of cool, but the AoS setting is definitely unique in many ways. I don't think it's absolutely perfectly unique because GW is the land of references, but it's relatively unique. For sure. Fantasy was dark and pessimistic. AoS is high fantasy with a different style and outlook. Also prefer AoS. Fantasy was a bit too depressing, although it worked with 40k. Interesting that you'd say that. I think the reason 40k can do the super dark and depressing and outright creepy stuff is the scale. Like 40k, you're fighting over a galaxy. Fantasy, you're fighting over a world. There's only so much you can sneak in on one planet before things get really out of hand. Whereas in the galaxy, you can literally have absolutely anything and everything, so you can get away with doing some dark and messed up stuff. I think. That would probably be my guess as to why. It's partly the setting and the scale of the setting. Oh yeah, the giveaways. I forgot those were a thing because I didn't really sign up for them because I'm not particularly fussed. But yeah, true. Poses now 2 AoS, 3 40k. I'm planning already a new one for AoS and 40k. Nighthaunt or Ideneth, and then Knights. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking into Ideneth or Daughters of Cain or Fireslayers for AoS. I'm not looking to do anything for 40k right now because my tower is enough, and I'm probably going to wait for the Orcs to go back to the Orcs. I'm not going to start a new army with 40k, I don't think. Oh, oi! Jeez Louise. Okay, so I need to wait for some washes to dry. Ah, that's an interesting one. Do you think you want to make Gathering Storm close to end times but backtracked? Now, I actually have theorized this before. I've said that before in a video or on a podcast. I've said that. Do you think they backtracked and hurriedly depowered some of the events of Gathering Storm to prevent another end times backlash, which is why Gathering Storm felt so rushed? I don't know if that's true. It might be. It's possible. It is possible that the end times backlash did force a Gathering Storm rework, but I wouldn't want to say with any certainty at all. How historical period that interests you? Greco-Roman history is quite interesting to me, and I'm kind of interested in like the stuff going on with the Cold War. Like Russia is vaguely interesting, but like Cold War Russia and like Soviet Russia is something I just know very little about, because obviously it happened not long before my lifetime, but obviously before my time. So I don't really know about it very much, and we never studied it at school. So it's a period that I'm curious about. I think I had a proper interest, be more in like Greco-Roman history, like ancient Greece, ancient Rome, with a side of Egypt, but mainly Greece and Rome. And then, yeah. Depose the Imperial Creed? Oh, that would have been exceptionally dangerous to do, and would have required the introduction of basically a third faction. The god emperor worshippers of the ecclesiarchy would become their own factions. They wouldn't fall to chaos right away if they still believed the emperor was a god. It'd be a really, really difficult one to write. House Orcs are painting that much yellow. Yeah, don't paint yellow. If you know what's good for you, don't paint yellow. If you're into board games, the game called Twilight Struggle, which takes from World War II to the 90s, is pretty historically accurate. Okay, I'm not a huge board game person. Like, I've played the odd board game in my time, but not like any of the a proper board game. No, played like one game of Carcassonne, but that doesn't exactly count. So maybe sometime, but it's nothing I'm going to rush to do. But thank you for letting me know. I should have done this at the start of the bloody stream. Brought Lion back versus a dark and terrible monarch to rule a bleak imperium. I think lore-wise it would have been interesting to bring Lion back, but I don't think there was any way for the sake of like sales and games and things like that. Like, Guilliman is the most recognisable because they pushed the Ultramarines so hard. So I get exactly why they went with Guilliman, even if I'm not 100% on board with it lore-wise. Though I'm not complaining about it now. It's been too long. Your cooling off period for whining about it has long since expired. Yellow with an airbrush. Yeah, I don't have an airbrush, nor would I really have any use for an airbrush because I'm usually in uni. So you'd have to go outside to do it, and that's just not a good idea. Mesopotamia. Okay, I'd have to do. History is something I'd have been interested to study if I wasn't so fussed for science. Like, if I was fussed for history, if there was a subject I had to study other than science, it would have physics to be more accurate. It probably would have been history, because I do quite like history, but it's not something I've looked into super hard because my priorities lay with science. I think it was actually a really smart move bringing Magnus back, almost as a bit of a ruse. Because if you bring back Magnus, the most likely Primarch you're going to bring back for the Loyalists to counter him is going to be Russ. So like you could have easily mini swerved with like, oh look, it's Magnus. So they're going to bring Russ back, right? And then they swerve you and say, surprise, it's Guilliman. The problem is it was so predictable it was going to be Guilliman because like Russ would just not work in the modern Imperium. Like, Guilliman at least is pragmatic enough to lead, whereas Russ isn't. So it was a mini swerve, but not really because everybody knew they weren't going to do it. But hey, maybe. Or maybe I'm just giving them too much credit. I don't know. Anyway, we're on to highlights now, so I shouldn't be too much longer here. Probably another, if I'm quick, half an hour and get this done. Samaria, Anatolia, yeah. The ancient history is fascinating in its own way. It's just I've done more reading on Greece and Rome, so that interests me a little more because I know I've got a bit of a basis to start with. Whereas like Mesopotamia, Samaria, Anatolia, they're just things I've got no prior knowledge of. The emperor was from that neck of the woods, from what would become Turkey, yes. I don't know if it was Anatolia, but it was from that region at some time in history. Christ. Did you read Ferris Manus' book? No. I haven't read any of the Primarch series, unfortunately. If I was was going to read one of them, I'd read Magnus's first. Of course I would. Magnus would not be a book I'd rush to. Bring Vulcan back and reference the whole exposure to the wire energy. It would be a very interesting twist with doing Vulcan like that. I don't think they would, but it would be an interesting twist. Who in Modern 40k as much as ever been Lord of the Imperium? Well, if you ask Gilliman himself, he'd tell you Dante, which is why Dante is Warden of Imperium Nihilus. But, honestly, hard to know. Like, if you wanted a Space Marine, you'd give it to Dante. If you wanted a human, well, you'd probably want to give it... Creed is a great military leader, but I don't know how good he is as a politician. And that's the other challenge. Does Horus Heresy count as a historical tabletop game? Technically, I guess. Yeah, technically. Anything else in silver? Silver. 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 If I can just hit the details. Iron Hands look bad in comparison to the Emperor's Children. I don't like the Emperor's Children, that's the thing. Took a Roman history class in college after Marcus Aurelius. Roman history quickly turns into Game of Thrones. I suppose it does turn into, particularly once you get to, is Aurelius? Well, I think it would be partway through the Imperial era. But yeah, it would be there was a lot of assassination and things like that. So yeah, I get that logic. Ba-da-da-ba-ba-da-da-bum. That's a fun little history lesson. Red or white? Red. God, this red is like completely dried up. It's ridiculous how little red there is left in here. Thankfully, I don't need loads to get most of this done. I'm such a klutz with dropping models and paints and stuff. I'm an absolute klutz for it. Nah, the model's fine. Fair, I've dropped worse. That was nothing by comparison, it's fine. mean, I wouldn't say it's comforting to know that someone is a bigger klutz than I am, but hey, someone has to be. Last Wednesday, someone knocked my Tombstalker. Oh, Tombstalker. Ouch, 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 ouch. Sympathies. Those things are not... Yeah, those things are probably quite fragile in some ways. Ow. Okay. What do I got to do? Gold and white. Let's do the gold, and then we'll do the white to finish. Actually, shoulder pad. Get the shoulder pad over here, and then you'll remember to highlight it. Good idea. Pin the whole thing. Good plan. Good plan. Dropped a Warhound Titan's foot, put it straight through a glass without damage. Glorious. Hairbrushes are expensive. Yep. There's a reason, well, there's several reasons I don't own one, but that's one. Ah, good. You come to a solution as a team in the chat. Well done. Dread wet palette. No, actually. I don't know if that's an app or something. If it is, no, I haven't. No, nor am I fussed to either. Okay, good. And the bow. Well, actually the entire torso, including the bow. Jesus. Oh god, I'm getting red on my bloody hands now because I'm going too fast. Christ. This is going well, and this is going to go really badly because I'm so bad at painting gold with any precision. Come on, please. Precision, precision, precision. Yes. Boom. Yes. Okay, good. Much improved. Basically, water absorbent material with a semi-porous layer on top basically keeps your paint from drying out without adding water. So if you repair it, makes it stays usable for quite a long time, like an hour or so. Problem is, I don't stick on a single paint long enough to do that. I'll just open up the pot, flip, do a paint for like 5 or 10 minutes. Like, you see how long I'm spending on any colour. I mean, you never see it with the base coat this time, but you go back and watch any stream. I don't spend long enough. I never go back to a colour again unless I mess something up. So I get what you're saying, but nah. Thank you for the offer, but I'll pass. Yeah, we opened the stream with the Knights discussion article. It's the first thing we did on the stream tonight. It was a really, really good article. I really thought it was a really good preview. Very impressed with that preview. So yeah, Knights look fun. It was the first thing we did on stream tonight. It was very good. Excellent. It's just the white. I need to do the I need to do the lining of the cloak before I do the white. Yeah, I know my painting technique is garbage, but yeah, fair enough. I think for most people who paint with a bit of sanity and paint properly, you might get some use out of it, but I'm not one of those people. Okay, so Administratum Grey, and then we're done. I'm actually going to, I said half an hour, I might be a little bit faster depending on how this goes. Because this could go well, or this could go terribly. My track record with white paints is not great. Well, we're not going to get them to behave, it's not great. Sorry about the long awkward silence. It's just something that happens when I start painting. If I look up and there's nothing in the chat, I just keep focused on the painting, and that means that nothing gets said. I apologize. I haven't actually watched the first episode of Stormcast. I've just not got round to it. I know I should have done, but I've not actually gotten round to it. So I'll need to see. But I can imagine that there probably is a script to it, to some extent. Like, there's only certain things that they're allowed to discuss, because they'll be showing them in previews later. They don't want a sequence break. But if it does feel scripted, then that's a shame, because I quite like the discussions when they're a lot more free flowing. So I'd have to watch it for myself to judge, which I still haven't had a chance to do because I'm not very good at my job. But yeah, I think what I might do is I might give it a few episodes, like maybe give it 5 episodes, and then do my thoughts on. I'll just sit down and watch the episodes back again for myself again, to just double check my opinions, and then give like a thought piece, and like, because I mean, I'm not an expert in how to podcast. I'm no expert, but I don't know. I might do that. We'll see. Citadel don't do their own airbrush? I know they do like air paints though, like paints designed for spraying, so I'd assume that they did. Huh. My bad. I just assumed that because some of the Citadel paints can be, yeah. To be fair, almost everything gets better with practice. One of those things you can't just, well, you can on rare occasions just be perfect straight out of the gate, but that doesn't happen very often. You do need to practice to work at your craft and to get better. So yeah, like I say, I'll give them a few episodes, and then I might do an opinion piece where I give my thoughts on like how I think it's going, whether it's a good idea. Because I think in principle it's a great idea, but it's got to be a bit. It can't be like scripted and overly planned. It's got to have that freedom. And the problem is if they're discussing like releases and discussion of rules, there's particularly in the build to a new edition, there's only so much they're allowed to say. So it can be very difficult. Whereas if they've got like a community member on and they're just having a random discussion, that's allowed to flow a bit more. And I think it will vary on who they get on, what they're allowed to talk, what they're talking about in that particular episode. There'll be a lot of variables. But yeah, we'll see. Anyway, the painting is done. Now it's time for the other bit, the gluing. So, task 1. Get the torso in place. Okay, lovely. That's in. Nice and safe and solid. Beautiful. Yeah, that's nice one. Sounds like. Who knows? If they do, we'll see what they do with the community. Whether they do want to invite content creators or tournament organisers or other representatives on. That's up to them. That's their prerogative. But if they do decide to run it with it and get the community like fully involved with YouTubers, bloggers, streamers, the works, they could do something really special. That could be really amazing if they really do go for it with the community. But they don't have to. They can make a really good show out of the community team just by getting the right people on at the right time. They could do a really good job. It's just got to not feel like just scripted designer interviews every week or every 3 times a week. Stay. Boop. Boop, boop, boop. Ba-da-da-dum, ba-dum. There we go, that's the shield. And then finally the Warblade. Right, where do I want this to sit? Where should this sit? There-ish? There-ish works. Okay, beautiful. Snipe with the GW is driving nuts. To be fair though, getting like any of us on could cause problems for them. Like you invite Remini on, and there's a risk that it just goes into full on, just like a massive lore discussion, or I don't know. They'd have to play careful, and they'd probably have to brief the YouTuber or the creator hobbyist before they started, before letting them loose. You can't just let them run loose on an official GW cast. So it would be interesting. I think again we'll just see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, I've now finished the model. Voila. This is your 10-minute warning. I'm going to be stopping the stream and give or take 10 minutes. So get your questions in while you can. So if you've got any last questions, topics for discussion, general thoughts, etc., this is your chance to get them in. You've got 10 minutes and then I'm going to stop the stream. Seems fair to me. Giving you plenty of warning anyway. So yeah, there's your model. Rem's spending the entire podcast trying to get them to confirm Malala's canon. I wouldn't say sniping women needlessly negative. Goodness no. I've worked with them several times, both on their show and on ours, and I find them really upbeat, and they make a lot of jokes. They make a hell of a lot of jokes, so maybe it wouldn't be exactly up GW's street. I don't know. That's up to them to decide. But I don't find them needlessly negative at all. I find them really good fun to talk to. And I certainly think I'm not the only person they could have on. Goodness no. Plenty of people available. Want to see a content creator as a regular host? That would be very, very blatant favoritism in favour of that one content creator, and it risks that creator being seen by some people in the community as basically a GW shill. So it's just like they just push the company line, even though they're not in, because at that point you're basically employed by them. You're quote unquote employed by GW if you're a regular host on Stormcast. Therefore, you're biased by the fact you're being paid. So they could be paying you, and you have to give full disclosure, but people will still think you're a shill. So I don't think they'd want to do. I don't think a content creator would want to be a permanent host. I really don't. I certainly wouldn't for that reason. Also, I don't really have the time. How am I getting models back to the UK? In a box. I know it's a very obvious answer, but in a box with a lot of bubble wrap. That is the answer. A box with a lot of bubble wrap. Yeah, British humour. I mean, I am British, and I find that sort of dry British humour quite funny. It's the same sort of humour I use. Some of it's, I mean, I don't know. It's personal taste, yeah. Some people find that type of humour funny, some people don't. I personally do find it funny, although some jokes do fall flat. The odd joke that is just a whiff with everybody, and some that's a hit with everybody. It's just the way it is. Oh. Ow. sheesh. 2 hours 40 minutes. Where did that bloody go? Okay, 8 minutes. Okay. Maybe. Maybe just because like whenever I've worked with them with the Misanthropod and their podcasters, I've always found them very positive and good to work with. I don't know. Hey, I'm in no position to criticize. I can be too positive. Like sometimes I can be just like maybe putting too much stock in hope. I don't know. You can take it either way. Some people might say it's over the negative. Some people just say it's being honest, and it is. I think all of us in the community, our primary goal is to be honest, to give our honest opinions to our viewers. Sorry if that blocked the mic. It's to give our opinions to our viewers and let them decide. Let them see people's viewpoints, whether positive, negative, or in between, and let them come to their own conclusions. That's what debate is. What kind of fantasy or direction would you like to see in a new AoSI? Oh god. I don't know. I'm really not good enough to work that out because a lot of the tropes have pretty much been hit on the head now. They could keep going down the Greek route, like maybe a Minotaurish route, so that they got Beasts of War in one of the Elven factions, maybe. Tomb Kings, lol. Tomb Kings be dead. Dead as Britannia. They are. They're a joy to work with. They're great to work with. They're a great pair. Oh, jeez. Does it already exist? I don't know. We haven't really had enough human lore. I think we just need to see more free people's lore, see who they worship, and whether those gods exist, etc. Before I give an answer on that. I don't know. In all truth, I don't know. Deader than Britannia being undead. Oh dear. Let's see something with Vikings but with a different flavour than Chaos. If someone is right, then Judo only forgot them in the transition from fantasy to AoS. Sad but funny. If that's true, then yeah. Sad but funny is an apt description. Honestly, couldn't tell you, but maybe. A sort of Viking Raider thing, I don't know if they'll go Norse with it, but like you've got the Scourge Privateers who are like Sea Raiders, and the Einet Deepkin the same. So you just have to be careful that you don't jump on like gimmick infringement with the Ideneth and the Scourge Privateers. Like Sea Raiders kind of like become the elf shtick in some ways. Find the Auric Knights of old fantasy. Oh. My fantasy lore is not what it is, not what it used to be, and it certainly wasn't great to begin with, so Yeah, the Knights. I think that's the Knights of the White Wolf. Is it the Knights of the White Wolf? Was Ulrich? Yeah, Ulrich was the Wolf one, wasn't it? It was the Knights of the White Wolf, and then the Reichsguard and a bunch of others. Oh yeah, but ow. Anyway, we're just about at the end of the 10-minute warning, so I'm going to start wrapping this up. So, thank you everybody for coming out for tonight's stream. How many people did we have here throughout? About 20 people. That's pretty awesome. Oh, we did have one spate of bad lag. Okay, we had one spate of lag. But yep, thank you very much everybody for coming out. It was a pleasure as always to be chatting with you and discussing the ins and outs of the hobby and having some really good debates, some really good discussion tonight. I know we didn't get so much AoS 2 talk in, but some really good interesting discussions about perceptions and opinions about the game and what makes a good game and so on and that sort of thing. And I got my Tempesta done, which is great. I'm glad I got that done, which is lovely. And yeah, it's been a really, really good stream. I've really enjoyed it. So, yeah, if anyone who isn't in the Discord who's here, then there's a link there available for you to click, although I think most of the names here I do recognise already in there, so if you aren't, then feel free to dive in. I'm not sure if I'll be in there much tonight. I might come in a little bit later. We shall see about that. But, yeah, it has been a pleasure. So, thank you very much for watching. This has been Tactica Imperialis, and make sure you tune in tomorrow because I've got a very special-ish video for you where you get to actually get a look at this Stormcast army, although admittedly this model won't be in it because I'm doing a full showcase for the army I created in a town called Malice. It's a bonus episode, a full army showcase that you can enjoy. And I'll be back streaming in a couple of days and all of that fun stuff. So, thank you all for watching. This has been Tactica Imperialis. Until next time, I'll see you all again. Good night, everybody.